about word problems, right? We'll add that later. Okay, so word problems, those are the steps that in general you need to follow and then verify, right? The last step would be verify. Actually, the very last step is state your state solution. Solution with a statement. So that's important when it's word problems. You have to give a statement, okay? Not just, oh, this is the point I found, this is where the lines intersect. No, you need to actually say what those numbers, what does X represent? Go back to what your definition was for X. And then what does Y represent? Go back to what Y represents. So you can use letters of your choice, or you can just stick with X and Y. It doesn't matter. Sometimes it's better to use different letters, just so like you use the initial of the of whatever that variable is called, and it's easier to set them apart. Read first. At the zoo, Miss Gebhardt buys 5 admission tickets and 3 train tickets. Okay, so that's a bit of a clue, right? Admission tickets and train tickets. So overall, we're talking tickets, specifically admission tickets and train tickets. So those are your X and your Y, if you will. She pays $65. Mr. Slavinsky buys 2 admission tickets, there it is again, and 1 train ticket. He pays $25. Create a linear system to model the situation. What is the price of each ticket? Okay, so we're going to figure that out. This is the solution. We're going to figure that out by combining these two, because both equations are going to be true, and it's if we were to graph them, it's where they meet that gives us the actual price in this case. Okay, so we'll say that let A, right, be the price of admission ticket. So because they're asking for price, you know that, right? That's going to be what the variable represents, okay? So it's not the number of tickets, it's the price in this case. If they had given you the price, then you would have had to figure out how many tickets were purchased. Right? And how about we call T the price of train tickets. Okay, so you define your variables. That's the first step. So I can put a little 1 here because this is step 1. Step 2, we're going to set up our system. So you just go, you know that 5, right? 5 admission tickets and 3 tickets, and you would be paying T, right, for it. That amounts to $65 in that case. Right, so this would be Miss G, right? And for the second case, Mr. Slavinsky, he buys 2 admission tickets. He would be paying A for each ticket and 1 train ticket. So it's just T. And he pays $25. This is Mr. Slavinsky. Okay, so you have both equations here. I will tell you this. There isn't a specific rule as to, in this case, which one you should pick. But because of this, I will use substitution, right? Most of the time, substitution is going to be the preferred method, right? Right, so there's T. I will make a note here. Second equation has a variable with coefficient equal to 1. Therefore, use substitution method. Okay, so it's really going to be substitution or elimination. Those are the two. You want to do this algebraically. The amount of room, the amount of space you're going to have is going to be catered to using one of the algebraic methods, elimination or substitution. The graphing one, not so much. Maybe if a graph is provided, if a grid is provided, then obviously that is the expectation. But it's usually going to be one of the algebraic ways of solving. So I'm taking t, right, and I'm rewriting it. I bring everything over to the left, right. Sorry. You have to be careful. So 2a is positive. When it comes over the equal sign, it changes signs. The 25 is already there. It just stays positive, right? Because it's already there. So I'm just going to underline this because it's important. So from the second one, I isolated that one, right? Now this you plug it into the first equation, right? So we bring this over here. So from here we went to there, and then you take this one and continue your work here. 5a plus 3t is equal to 65. You know that t is that, so it's 5a plus 3, and you insert, for t, you insert this here, negative 2a plus 25 is equal to 65. Okay, you follow, make sure you keep the signs intact, right? You follow them, take your time, right? There's a negative 2, right? So you bring that over. Watch for double negative if it ever happens, right? Like if the 3 here was negative, right? You'd have a negative 3 times this, negative 3 times that, right? So you watch out for that. Now we're going to distribute this. So it's 5a minus, because 3 times negative 2 is negative 6a, and then plus 3 times 25, that's 75, is equal to 65. We combine our like terms, you get a negative a here. Watch what's going to happen I'm bringing all the numbers over to the other side. So 65 is already there. 75 comes over subtracting. So you have negative a is equal to negative 10. Okay. And at this point, you divide both sides by negative 1 or multiply both sides by negative 1. It's up to you. But we determine that a is equal to 10. I'll box this in. So we've determined that a is equal to 10. Now you get to plug this in. Listen carefully. Once you determine, once you solve, you get to plug it into either one of these, right? You can just plug it in and go. Mr. Dixon, can I plug it into this one here, the one I isolated? Yes, I wouldn't recommend it because if you made a mistake, it's going to compound, right? It's going to make it worse. And so we're going to go maybe the second one. So I will go like this. Plug into either of original equations. So I'm going to go 5 times 10 plus 3t is equal to 65. That's 50 plus 3t is equal to 65. That means that I have 3t is equal to 65. The 50 comes over subtracting. 3t is equal to 15. Divide both sides by 3. T is equal to 5. So far we are very close to saying what the solution is, but we're going to verify. So This whole thing was part of the third step, which is solving, right? Then we're going to verify. And I'm running out of room here, but I'm going to make it happen, okay? So left-hand side, right-hand side of the first one. 5a plus 3t is equal to 65. 5 times 10 plus 3 times 5. That's 50 plus 15, that's 65. So left-hand side is equal to right-hand side. Sorry, I know it's small, but I think you can make see it there, right? And then left-hand side, right-hand side of the second one, we have 2a plus t is equal to 25. 2 times 10 plus 5. We know that that's 25, so left-hand side is equal to right-hand side. Check, check. So therefore, right? Where am I going to fit in my statement? I'm going to add it right here. You find a spot, right? Statement. So what does A represent? A is the price of admission ticket. T is the price of a train ticket. So you have units here. Statement. The admission tickets cost $10 and train tickets cost $5. Okay. So you have to have a statement when it's word problems to get full marks. If you're interested in getting full marks, then that's what you would want. Corden, did you join? Let me know. Okay, good. All right. So really a review of using the substitution method. The only caveat, the only addition is define your variables, set up your system, then solve. Okay. Okay. Second example. Reagan has 20 coins in her piggy bank, all dimes and quarters. The total amount of money is 305. How many of each coin does she have? Okay, so this one is a little trickier. How about we do this? Nickel, dime, quarter, penny. Oh, I forgot penny. Not that we have those anymore. But a nickel, right, would be 0.05 of a dollar. A dime is 10 cents, like that. 0.10 of a dollar. Quarter, we should all know. And penny is 1 cent, which is 0.01 of a dollar. This is just on a side here. Sometimes just mentioning a word actually gives you more information than what you think. And so don't forget that, right? So we'll define variables, let, and so we have dimes and quarters, right? Let D be, we can say the number of dimes. We know what it's worth. We just want to know how many of them we have, right? Because it says how many of each, right? That's why you're gonna say it's the number of, right? The number of dimes, and Q would be the number of quarters. Right? We set that up. And how would you have what would be your system? I'm going to pause here. I used to teach with a whiteboard, standing, and now I'm doing this, right? Okay. We've got, the first thing is that you have 20 coins. So that means that the number of dimes and the number of quarters add up to 20. Okay, that's it. The number of dimes, number of quarters add up to 20. And then you have a dollar amount, right? So if you have the 305 here, you know that whatever comes over here will add up to $3.05. Then they have to have a coefficient that has a dollar value attached to them. So we know that a dime is worth 0.10 D, right? Plus 0.25 Q. And I now kind of ran out of room there, but this is, the order doesn't really matter. If you went D times 0.10, that's fine. But that's what you should have. These are the two equations that are mentioned in this problem. Okay, so this one was kind of implicitly stated. It wasn't, said in that way. It wasn't read in that way, but you should have deducted it just by reading the question. So this is your system. Okay. Again, I don't know if you see it, but the top one has a coefficient of 1 for sure, right? So I'm gonna clean this up a little bit. I don't like the decimals here. So I'm going to go D plus Q. I'm going to rewrite the system. Sometimes it's good to do that. And then 0.10 D plus 0.25 Q is equal to 3.05. I'm going to multiply the whole thing by 100. Because I want to get rid of the decimals, right? So that gives me 10D plus 25Q is equal to 305. Okay, and I'm keeping the D plus Q is equal to 20. Hold it, pause here. Could you have left this the way it is? Absolutely. And right now we're not asking you to state it in general form where you can't have any decimals, right? But it's easier. It's easier to do that. You could have done that right next to it if you wanted to, but I ran out of room, right? Because I gave you this little legend here. So I'm just slowly working out the equations. I'm making them look a different way so it's a little bit easier to work with. That's all I'm doing, and I'm showing the steps, right? And now from these two, I'm gonna use the substitution method again here. From the first one, this is very easy to do. You pick which one you want. I'm gonna say that D is equal to, the Q comes over subtracting, right? Negative Q plus 20. Or you can go 20 negative Q, it doesn't matter, right? Use substitution. Okay. So I'm gonna go from here, right? From this step right here, I'm gonna continue over here. And since I isolated the first, I plug that into the second. Okay, so it's 10 D plus 25Q is equal to 305. I don't know why there's a decimal here, folks. Get rid of that. I don't know why I did that. There's no decimal, it's just 305, okay? So I write it out again, and then I will just show that I'm plugging in the isolated portion. Okay, distribute like that. So that's negative 10Q plus 200 plus 25Q is equal to 305. I combine my Q's, right? 25 and negative 10, that's 15Q. And on the other side, I have 305 minus 200, right? The 200 comes over subtracting. So 10Q is equal to 105, right? I don't know why I came up with a 10, sorry. Yeah. my bad. This is a 15, right? Let's keep it 15. Divide both sides by 15. Q is equal to 7. I'm going to box that in for now. You could have solved for D first. That's fine. Right? And then I'm going to take this, pick one of the ones. I'm going to pick one of these ones here. D plus Q is equal to 20. D plus 7 is equal to 20. D is equal to 20. 7 comes over subtracting, so D is equal to 13. Sorry. And then we're going to verify. We're going to go right back to the original here. Left-hand side, right-hand side. D plus Q is supposed to be 20. I have 13 plus 7, which is 20. So left-hand side is equal to right-hand side. And I'm going to continue that here, left-hand side, right-hand side. I'm going to give myself a little bit more room, right? Pick the originals for this, 0.10D plus 0.25Q. That's supposed to be 3.05 because you're working with the original, right? 0.10 times 13 plus 0.25 times 7. This gives you 0.13. No, sorry, 1.3. Sorry. Plus 7 times 3595.95. No, that's not right. Sorry, that's my bad. Because 8 quarters would be $2, right? So it's $1.75 there. There you go. That's better. So 130 and 1.75 adds up to 3.05. So left-hand side is equal to right-hand side. Okay, and therefore Reagan has 7 quarters and 13 dimes. Okay. I'm going to get you to flip over to the next page once you're done this and give example 3 a try. Okay? All on your own. Give example 3 a try. I will just give you the answers, or I will quickly work through it without verifying, just to make it a little bit quicker. So try example 3. I'm going to flip it back to the previous example so you can copy if you're still copying, but this is the one I want you to try. Read it and try to come up with a system because you're guaranteed to have a word problem on the test and quiz. Okay? So I'm leaving that there, pausing it, what you've come up with. So there are 2 numbers. The sum of the 2 numbers is 38. Right? 4 times the smaller number decreased by 12 yields. Yields means is or gives or is equal to, just so you know in math. Is 3 times the larger number. Okay? So what do we have here? Well, there's a smaller, so we're going to go S be the smaller number. In this case, it's just the number, right? Because it has a value in it, right? And L be the large number. Okay. The sum of the two is 38. So small plus large is 38. Sorry, did I say 32? 38, right? So we know that that's the first inequality. Sorry, I'm teaching inequalities as well in the afternoon. It's the first equation. Okay. And then it says 4 times the smaller number decreased by 12. That right there is what's to the left of the equal sign almost, right? So 4 times the smaller number decreased, right, minus 12 will give 3 times the larger number. So there you have your system, okay? And so no decimals, nothing like that, but I do notice that the first equation has 2 coefficients that are 1. Okay, so I'm going to use substitution. You could have used elimination, but I'm going to use substitution, right? So we're going to go S is equal to negative L plus 38. So you have really rewritten it, right, in slope-intercept form, right, that equation. But you're isolating, so that's important to me. So from this, don't put an equal sign between. You're not supposed to have more than one equal sign per line or per equation, right? So this equation gives that. I'm going to substitute that into this one. So we have 4s minus 12 is equal to 3l. So we have 4 and s is equal to negative l plus 38. And we continue this, right? So I've just done this part. There's the minus 12, and that is equal to 3l. And then I distribute, so I get negative 4l plus 4 times 38. So let's go 4 times 8 is 32, and 4 times 3 is 12, plus 3 is 152. Okay, minus 12 is equal to 3l. Then I have negative 4l on this side. I subtract these two, and that gives me 140 equals to, I like this problem because all of a sudden you don't have all of the variables on one side. So you actually got to move things over, right? All the variables, you want it all to one side. So I'm bringing the 3l over to this side and the 140 over to the other side. So the negative 4l stays, the 3l comes over subtracting, right? Equals, the 140 is now going to come over to the right side and it will change signs, right? So you're shifting things around and you end up with negative 7l is equal to negative 140. You divide both sides by negative 7, L is equal to 20, right? So you found that the lower number is equal to 20. The larger number, because L stands for larger. I have to go back up and check, right? And now you take this sub into either, right? So you can go S plus L is equal to 38. That's the one I pick. S plus 20 is equal to 38. That one is the easiest one to work with, and S is equal to 18. Okay, the two numbers are 18 and 20. And verified would have been your job to do here. Now, you've seen me do every single word problem by substitution because it's in general going to be the way to go, because one of the equations is going to have a variable with a coefficient of 1. If you wanted to use elimination, that is fine. Nothing wrong with it. I most likely will not make you pick one for a word problem. I will just say solve. Okay. but I've shown the method that works most often. Okay, so now follow me down to the word problems here. So this is where the homework here for today's lesson, and I will just give you the answers here so you know. Okay, so 1,200 cans and 800 bottles, and then I have 24 feet by 55 feet. This is 2120 millimeters by 1080. Sorry, it's not millimeters, it's meters. Sorry. And this one has 6,000 each. And this is T is $1.50, G is $2.25. So those are your answers. Write them down, and then you practice word problems, right? See if you are able to do everything. Question 4, the interest one, make sure just your percentage should be as a decimal, so 9 over 100, that's 0.09, right? 11 over 100, that's 0.11, and so when you set up your equation, that's the number you want there. I will look up, I might have a video where I actually work through this. I will look it up, so if you actually want to see these solved, I will look it up and see if I have it. But other than that, this is what you've got. I will leave it at this for today. I'm just gonna, before I let you go, I will just tell you what's gonna happen tomorrow. Okay, so tomorrow, basically, if you all I'm gonna do is post the quiz. You open the quiz, you will have, I think, about 45 minutes, right? I'll put the time down that it's due by. I will post it probably just before 9, so 8:55. You write the quiz, and then you can that's it for today. Okay. I will also post a review for chapter 7 that you can start working on if you like to, and I will also post the answer key to it. I have a bunch of reviews, so I'm going to pick the one that I'm not going to give you all of them, because then you will be overwhelmed. Okay. What is going to be on the quiz? Everything we've done up until this point, so including word problems. So we'll leave the number of solutions for next week. It's not that bad to understand. We will talk about that next week. If you want practice for the quiz, if you want a review for the quiz, let's say you understand word problems, you tried a couple in this section, you understand it. This is where I want you to go. Go to the back of the booklet right now. It's the very last page in your booklet. There's a chapter 7 review. Okay? Only for quiz, do 1 to 5. So just 1 to 5. Don't do 6 and 7 just yet. Okay? So for quiz, you need to be able to do questions 1 to 5 if you want to be prepared for the quiz. Okay? Which is tomorrow. Sorry, it's not 8:55. I have you second period tomorrow, so it'll be shortly before the start of the second period. Okay. So, are there any questions before I let you go? I will